Thank you for joining us on History FM Radio on liveparanormal.com and history.fm. From paranormal to the unexplained history, it all happens here. Looking to enhance your radio experience? Participate in live interactive chat 24/7 with our radio show hosts and other like-minded people on www.liveparanormal.com. The only interactive social chat room supported by full interactive media. Stop by now and join in on the fun.
Welcome to the Cajun Ghost Hunter Chronicles. Join me, your host, Stanley Jolette, as I talk about EVP, ITC, and the paranormal from Louisiana and beyond. Today, we'll be talking to Steve Hultay, a pioneer of ghost boxes and radio sweep technology. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Stanley Jolette, the Cajun Ghost Hunter, and thanks for listening in as we add another episode to the Cajun Ghost Hunter Chronicles. Please join me in welcoming Steve Hultay, founder and president of Keyport Paranormal. Steve, are you there?
I am here. I am hopefully loud and clear.
How are you doing today, Steve?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing good. Thanks for asking. Could you tell us how your journey into the paranormal started?
Yeah, actually I can. Short story, long story short, short story long, I don't know, whichever one you want to hear. We can go in depth, but it started when I was young. You know, I had some weird stuff. I grew up in a house that was pretty old and had a lot of creaks and moans and weird stuff going on here. My parents moved in here, and a lot of weird stuff had happened in the house. You know, it used to be an orphanage. They used to hear babies crying at night, toilets flushing on their own. There was a lot of activity going on in this house, and, you know, they didn't know why. So years go by, and it just always interested me that stuff was just going on outside of the realm of, you know, everyday life, and which is weird because you don't expect stuff to happen, and you go, oh my God, what is that? You know, that's not normal for me, you know, and then you learn as you go along that, you know, it becomes part of your normal life that stuff is not normal, and that's where the paranormal came into the picture for me. And years later, I started to want to investigate and find out why that was happening. And my expertise in the field, the way I pride myself is I'm an audio kind of guy. I want to find evidence of somebody speaking to me, and I want to document that audibly because I feel that that's the easiest way to do it. You know, if you you could capture some stuff with camera, digital photos. I'm not too impressed with orbs. I don't even believe in an orb at all.
Right.
You know, it's just, you know, the video can be tampered with. I mean, audio, it seems like, you know, whatever I get on audio, it is what it is. You know, whether it be traditional EVP or if it's a ghost box that I'm using, you know, and trying to get communication. Yeah, you know, it seems like I can't dismiss that. You know, the way I run a ghost box is totally different than a lot of people. You know, I run it so fast, there's no possible way that you can capture anything like a word or anything from a single radio station. It's impossible because everyone always said, you know, why are you running the ghost box so fast? I'm like, I'm running it so fast because I don't want people to say that I'm just capturing voices from a radio DJ and piecing it together to make a sentence to make it fit my scenario. I don't want that. You know, I
agree with you 100%, Steve. Because if you're sweeping at 50 milliseconds or lower than that, and you have a voice that talks for 2 seconds, you're sweeping over 40 radio frequencies.
Right, which is impossible for that to make sense. If you get an answer over that many radio stations, it's impossible to make that happen. So you have to do it that way. And there's a lot of people, back when I started who did the slow radio sweep. And they said, oh, yeah, I captured this word and that word and stuff. I pieced it all together. I made it sound great into a file. And I'm like, yeah, but you did nothing but fool yourself and everybody else. You didn't do anything. You didn't accomplish anything. And I feel that we need to accomplish things. We need to get rid of certain aspects of the field. And I've been fortunate ahead since 2006. I really, I feel that there's a lot still to offer out there. Not necessarily every TV show that's out there is fantastic. It's not. I think some shows have had their day and they need to retire. And I'm not going to mention any shows like Ghost Hunter, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But it seems like stuff evolves so fast.
Excuse me. Before we delve into your history using Spirit Box communication, and that history is vast, I want to play an EVP file that you sent me. And I always stress that anyone can talk to their deceased loved ones if they're so willing. And depending on your budget, there are affordable instruments that perform radio sweep, and digital cameras and cell phone cameras can document the captures generated by these devices. And in this capture, there's a spirit that says, your dad. And when you ask if he can say hello so you can hear him, the spirit says, yeah. Is there anything you want to add to say about this capture before I play it, Steve?
No, that was pretty much it. I was working on I've been working on a lot of echo, and we'll get into that a little bit later, how I got involved with working with the echo chambers and building those boxes. But this was one of the first ones that I was testing out, and it seems like it really helps them. And I've had a pretty good connection with the spirit world over the years. When I use the Ghost Box, I have a lot of different Ghost Boxes, and
I know.
A ton of them. I've used the Shag Hacks. I've used the Frank's boxes, Joe's boxes, mini boxes. I've used everybody that sent me their own prototypes. I've used all those, and some work better than others, but not everything works great for me personally. They may be the best sounding box you've ever heard, but if it doesn't work, if it doesn't make it personal for me, it's not going to work. So I have to have a connection with the box. The box is important to me because I have to have a connection with it. And building this echo with one of my boxes, that's the file that you're going to play. It seemed to be like I really clicked. I hit on something pretty good. I made a box that was really good. It has a lot of bells and whistles, and I have a real connection with it. So, yeah, play the file and see
here
what
we go.
Think.
This is your dad. Yeah, I'm going to play it 3 times for our audience here.
My dad's there. Can he say hello? Can I hear him?
Yeah.
And again.
Yeah.
My dad's there. Can he say hello? Can I hear him?
Yeah.
And one more time.
My dad's there. Can he say hello? Can I hear him?
Yeah.
That's just so amazing.
Could that guy sound less interested in talking to me? Like, did you hear how he sounded? He was like, yeah, can I talk to him, whatever? Like, he was like, yeah. Like he didn't even care. Like, right? It didn't even seem like it mattered.
That was like it was an everyday occurrence to him to be talking to somebody.
Right, exactly, because time is apparently, and it really is apparent that time is different on their side. I don't think it means anything whatsoever. So I think when you ask them to do stuff, I think they already know way more than we do, and I think that they're probably tired of doing this. How many Ghost Box people are out there asking questions, doing stuff every single day? They're probably like, you know what? I'm tired of you. Let's move on. Let's do something different. And that's kind of, I know that they feel that way, and I want to move on. That's why I'm always building and making new things, because we have to evolve. We can't stay the same. Can't.
Right. Well, like many of us who are interested in EVP, you wanted a means to communicate with spirit to help them if they were earthbound and answer questions they may have from the other side. And your quest was eventually fulfilled when your sister sent you an email with a link to a device called Frank's Box. Please tell the audience about your experiences with this instrument.
Yeah, Frank definitely had some sort of connection. It was in the plan, you know. He was meant to work on this device and come out with this device where he was able to grab audio bits, and he already knew what he needed to do because he was using a program called EVP Maker by Stefan Bion, who's from Denmark. And it's an incredible program. People can download it for free, EVP Maker. If you look it up online, you can download it for free. You put any sort of audio source into it, and you click random, and it jumbles it up, and it just mixes the audio file up. And then you could ask questions and possibly hear answers. That's how Frank got his start, and the program actually does work. People should give it a try, especially for free. Just give it a try. Frank decided, well, you know what? Instead of mixing up the audio on this computer, I can make this happen like live with like a real radio. So he built the first Frank's Box based on EVP Maker because it's just based on random audio bits, which is really the premise of everything. Whatever it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be random. In fact, it could be linear, like it could go up and down the band, like kind of like a shack hack kind of thing. It just has to be audio bits that are. It just doesn't go together. It's like everything is really random if you think about it. You know,
right.
Even if you're skipping up and down the band, it's still in a random. You're capturing audio bits in a random fashion. That's just how it works. So it doesn't have to be a random suite.
Right. And somehow spirits can grab these phonemes, I guess you would call them, out of the radio frequencies and make words out of them to speak to us.
Yeah, I mean, they could grab anything they want. I mean, they use what we use. So if this is the point we're at where we think that we're getting communication, they're going to work with us on that area because they know that that's where we're at this time. So they're going to want us to continue. So they're going to give us enough to work with to get us interested, to maybe get us to the next level. And then when we get to the next level, I think they're way beyond us. I really do.
Right.
I think they're waiting for us to catch up. I think that we're way far behind.
Even as vast as our technology is, we're still far behind them, you think, right?
I do. I really do. I think we're we're way far behind. I think their technologies they have on their side, they're still working. As far as I'm concerned, this is just me saying it. I don't know for a fact for anything, but I just think that they are working on their side just as hard as we are working on our side to make the two worlds, connect. And and I don't think we connect at the same time all the time. I think we're always at different levels. I think they're beyond us with technology. They're waiting for us to catch up. But while we're trying to catch up, they're trying to adjust to us where we're at now. So it takes time. Like when you turn on a box, you don't always get a response. Sometimes it takes a few minutes for them to adjust to what we're using, and they go, okay, he's using, a shack hack or whatever. So now I know what he's using. I could adjust to that, and let's talk now. You know what I mean? I think they're using what we use, and we use what they use. I think it's a blend, but eventually we'll be on the same page. I don't think we're on the same page right now, and that's the problem.
Right.
I think we're fighting to get on the same page.
You sent me an EVP file in the batch that you just sent me recently this afternoon, and it's you sent one that's called Frank's Box Can Talk. I'm going to play that for our audience. Is there anything you want to add to that about the EVP?
No, I think that actually came from a session I did a few months ago where when people think about the Ghost Box, they think, oh yeah, I got to have a Frank's Box, got to have a Steve's Box, Joe's Box, whatever the box is that it's automated. Okay, all it does is automate the suite. Now, manual suite is fantastic. I've gotten my best files from doing a manual sweep. Just grab any radio. You can manually sweep it, and you can get better files than you get with an automated sweep. I mean, for the most part. I mean, it's a lot less work to you listen to the Ghost Box and not have to manually sweep it yourself. But when you do a manual sweep, there's something about the user and the ability that they're doing. They're putting their effort into it. I think it really plays a part. And this is a file that came from a manual sweep that I did, and
really?
it was pretty freaking clear. Yeah, I still go back and forth. I don't think that what I do or what I have, the equipment I have, I don't think that that's the best stuff is. I don't take advantage of that. I think that we could still go basic. Basic stuff still works. A manual sweep has been, you can do that with anything. It's free, and it works just as good, if not better, than anything else that's out there. That's what I feel.
Wow.
So,
well,
so
I kind of agree with you there, because it might have to do with the person that's doing the sweeping. And maybe you are connected with spirits such that when you're doing this, they recognize what you're doing and they want to talk to you. So let's go ahead. We're going to play Frank's Box Can Talk here.
Sure.
Let's Box Can Talk.
And again.
Let's Box Can Talk.
And one more time.
Let's Box Can Talk.
Oh, that's amazing that you caught that with a manual sweep like that.
I capture a lot of stuff with the manual sweep, and I think it really, like I said, it has to do with the user. What your intentions are, what you want to do with the information. I think a manual sweep is a great way to go. I mean, I love it. Because I feel like I'm being a part of it. Like I'm a team player. I'm playing a part. Doing the manual sweep. Even though I build boxes and the automated sweep is good, and I can still adjust it and do whatever I want. And that works good too. But you don't have to save your money and try to buy a Frank's box or anybody else's box. You really don't need to spend a lot of money and do that unless you're a collector. You can get the same communication just by using a radio that walk in a room. If you see a radio, grab it. Do a manual sweep method. It works. It definitely works.
Right. Well, I have a radio that I purchased over the internet, and when I got it, I actually found that you could scan for stations, and you can hold a button and scan for stations. And so I just sat there holding the button down as it's scanning for stations, and it's scanning pretty fast. I started hearing voices, spirit voices, coming over it as I was sweeping it manually like that. So
it definitely works, and it takes a learning curve. When you're doing that kind of sweep, because I always have done a fast sweep, because I never wanted people to doubt what I did. Even though they do anyway. I want to give them less of a doubt, and say, I just swept 50 stations in the past 2 seconds. So you're saying it's a radio disc jockey, which one? Because I just passed 50 stations in 2 seconds. So which one was the guy that said something? You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. I want it to not make sense to the skeptic. That's what I want. I want them to say, yeah, he's kind of right. There's really no way that could have happened. And the fact that you got a message, like a full sentence message from 50 different stations in 2 seconds with all different voices, it just means that they're using the audio. They're not using the radio. And a lot of people think that, they're just using the radio and stuff like that. Well, they're not. It's based on audio and sounds. So it doesn't even matter. It doesn't have to be a radio.
It's like us using air to go across our vocal cords to create speech. Then these spirits are using audio from the radio frequencies in order to create their own speech.
Right. They're picking and choosing what they need to work with to get a message across to us. Do you ever get a message where it's like the same voice, over the course of how many stations, but it's the same voice? It's impossible to get that same voice over the course of the entire band of the radio. It's impossible.
Right. The gibberish.
It really is.
Right. You were on the Discovery show, Mystery Hunters, in 2008, where you contacted the spirit of Thomas Edison. Could you please tell the audience about this episode and how you went about making contact?
I just in 2007 I got my first Frank's box, and I worked with it for a little while, and it was really not that good. I'll be honest with you. The first Frank's box I had was Frank's box number 13. It was a long time ago, and it really wasn't that good. And my sister can attest to this if she's in the chat room. She'll tell you. We listened to it for hours and hours on end, and we were like, "Oh my God, there's nothing going on here. This is like the worst thing in the world. I'm bored. I'm really bored." And we did, and I dismissed it. I took it and I threw it to this corner or whatever. So Frank had built me another box, number 26. I think it's 26, 27. 27. Anyway, so he built that one for me. I started using that one or whatever, and that one worked a little bit better. The first one I had was you had to plug it in, so you couldn't go anywhere. So you were just stuck here at home, which is fine for me. I don't mind. I do a lot of research at home. So then he made a portable box for me, and I was able to go out into the field with it, and I was getting some good stuff with that. Well, this TV company, Discovery Channel, contacted me to do the show about Edison and the ghost box and stuff. I said, yeah, that's fantastic. That's a great idea. So I said, Frank, I'm going to need another box. I need something new to really show these people what's going on. He said, okay, fine. So he says, I'm going to send you number 36. I said, okay, that's great. So he sends me number 36. It's like over a month. I never seen it in the box. I said, Frank, I think this thing got lost in the mail. I don't know what's going on with this thing. So he says, well, I'll send you another one. I'll send you 39. And I said, okay, fine. I get them both like the same day. The one that was lost in the mail and the one that he sent me, I get them like the same day. So I got two of them, and I said, well, Frank, I'm going to use one of them. Whichever one works best, I'm going to use that for the TV show, and then I'm going to send the other one back to you, because, he was giving them to me at the time, so I didn't want to, keep them, because maybe he could use it and resell it, whatever the case may be. So I get it, and 36 really had a connection with me at the time, and it had an echo chamber and stuff, totally different than what my echo is now, but it worked pretty good. So I get the radio show. I get the TV people here. They show up at my house, and they said, okay, we're gonna join in. We're gonna do the Edison thing. How Edison was involved with the ghost box, stuff like that, which is still up in the air. Nobody knows for a fact that Edison was really working on a ghost box. It's not a fact.
Right.
But we were working on the premise that, yeah, maybe he was. So we go to the cemetery, we do the show and stuff like that, and we actually capture Edison in his own voice. Thomas, we got, what did you invent what is the most important thing that you invented that people use all the time? And he said the light bulb in his own voice. If you heard like any of the old recordings, it's like the light. And I was like, what? That's like his own voice. So that was a really great experience for me, to go and do that.
You mentioned that. I have an EVP that I downloaded off of your website, and it's a young woman in there, and I guess that's Tracy that's asking Thomas Edison about his famous invention. Is that the EVP that's
Christina. That's Christina. That was the host of the TV show Mystery Hunters.
Ah,
okay.
She
was the girl on the.
Ah, okay. I'm going to go ahead and play that for the audience so they can hear that, because when I heard that, it fascinated me, not only because of the direct response to the question after it's asked, but because you hear soft voices in the background audio, and the baseline hits or noise is so minimal, and then you get this loud response. It's just amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play the light here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Thomas Edison, if you're here, can you name us one of your most popular inventions that you created that's in everybody's house practically?
I'm going to play that one more time.
Yeah, that was it. The light. That was actually in Thomas Edison's that was his actual voice. If you listen to his old recordings, that's his voice.
Right. Oh, I want to hear that again.
Go ahead.
Okay, Thomas Edison, if you're here, can you name us one of your most popular inventions that you created that's in everybody's house practically?
Amazing.
Yeah, it's light. Yeah.
Now I looked up Menlo Park in the Museum for the Light Bulb in New Jersey, and I found that it's only about 10 miles from Keyport as the crow flies from where you live. And in my investigation,
I've been there several times. Yep.
Oh wow.
I've been to his house. I've been to the laboratories. Yeah, I'm like obsessed with Edison.
Oh, I hear you. I would be too. And in my investigations, I've discovered that you just have to be in the proximity of a location in order to contact the spirits haunting there. And do you think being so near Menlo Park has enhanced your ability to communicate with Thomas Alva Edison?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel that there's some sort of connection there with Edison. I used to, when I started, I was doing the research and I was using boxes. I worked with Joe Ciaffi, who created the Joe's box, and we worked together on the weekends. He lived one state away. He lives in Pennsylvania. I live in New Jersey. And we were working together on a device, and we finally got it right, and I started using that and started getting communication. And that was like kind of the starting point there. Edison came into the picture a little bit later. I started getting messages like he was just coming into the conversation. Like he was just like, hey, I'm here. And I'm like, okay. I didn't really know how to deal with that. It sounds weird and sounds crazy, and I know it does. But then I started, I started having dreams where I would have ideas of different things that I wanted to do. So I started working with different people and getting different boxes out there. I worked with, Paranormal Systems, Ron Ricketts, who made the mini box. I worked exclusively with him for a long time. And we came out with the Mini Box Plus. That was our baby. That was what we came out with, was the Mini Box Plus. So I mean, the ideas seem to come to me. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh my God, I got this idea. Or I'm driving home from work and I'm like, wow, where did this idea come from? It just seems like it just hits me every once in a while. And I really believe that Edison has something to do with it. Whether he did at the time, was he building a ghost box? I don't know. I wasn't, around in the 1920s when this allegedly happened. That said he was building a ghost box.
Right.
But if he wasn't, he may be now, because of the interest in it, he may be working on that side to help us now. He may say, well, I really wasn't working on the ghost box, but now everybody's throwing my name around, let me help them out because I can work on stuff with them. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's the point. Maybe that's how it's going. I don't know.
You received the box 39. You received the box 39 from Frank and had a session on April 20th, 2009, which is 5 years ago tomorrow. And you asked Spirit if they had any messages, and the message you received was that Edison was there. How did you feel when you received a direct message like that from Edison telling you his name?
The feeling I have is Edison is connected directly to Box 39. Now, Box 39, like I told you, when I did the TV show, I decided to use Box 36. Now, I had got Box 39 the same day, and I turned it on. I'm like, there's nothing to this. It sucks. It's an awful box. I can't use this thing. I was trying to use it on AM because I thought at the time AM was the way to go because it was more talk. You didn't have to deal with the radio, the music, and the clutter. It seemed like the better way to go. So I dismissed 39, threw it off to the corner. Now, 39, over the years, since 2008, when I received it, has been my best and only box that is my go-to box. When I go on an investigation, people ask me to go on an investigation, I join in on them. Where I only bring Box 39 because that box and me are like one. We're like one person. I get the best communication from that stuff. When people go, oh my God, I can't believe the stuff you pulled out of that thing. I said, well, I don't know. I got a real connection with this box. I actually bought an Edison radio label from one of the original Edison radios, and I actually put it on this box because I really feel that there's some sort of connection there, between me, Edison, and this box. So Frank's Box 39 is by far the best box. I want to be buried in this box with this box. I really do. I love this box. It's the best one. I mean, I could turn it on. I could talk to anybody at any time, and for me, it's crystal clear. Crystal clear.
Well, I'm going to let the audience hear. This is Edison here, Steve, and let's go ahead. We're going to play it now.
You guys have anything to tell me today? Any messages?
And one more time.
You guys have anything to tell me today? Any messages?
Amazing. Yeah. You are listening to History.fm radio on liveparanormal.com, the paranormal's top social community. Now, with this Frank's Box number 39, here's a clip where there's a young woman who asks who she's speaking to, and the spirit tells her his name is George and tells her hi. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to play that for our audience here. This is from Frank's Box 39.
What is your name? George?
Oh, that was the wrong one. Sorry about that. Here it is. This is the right one here.
Okay. Yeah, I was like,
sorry about that.
George?
Who am I speaking to? George? Hi, George. Hi.
Yeah, we'll play it one more time.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I speaking to? George? Hi, George. Hi.
Now, the reason that you heard the first one that I played there, Steve, is because I also had an EVP where I took my RT EVP recorder that I got from Dad, and I just took it and I plugged it into my auxiliary speaker so I could make a real-time spirit box, and I recorded it with my camera. And listen to this. I got a similar EVP where I'm talking, and somebody named George answers me, and he tells me hi. Not only does he tell me hi, he says, "Hi, Stan." Listen to this.
What is your name? George? Hi, George. I'm Stan. Hey, George.
I do that with my guests because y'all have EVPs out there that just remind me of something that I had that's just so similar to what y'all got.
Well, doesn't it make you think that we're all united in what we're doing?
Yeah,
and it's like the same people that are contacting all of us.
Right, and distance has nothing to do with it. It's spirit.
Right.
Yeah. Here's another one from Frank's Box, number 39. It's so there's they say don't mess with us. And
okay.
Here, I'm going to go ahead and play that.
Yeah, well, you get different levels, when you're out there in the public. You always get different levels. So sometimes you get more travel.
Right. Let me go ahead and play Don't Mess With Us.
Go ahead.
Here.
Yep.
Let me play that again. Something happened there. And again. Sounds like he says, "Don't mess with us, people." My wife Barbara and I, we had gone to Jefferson Island in the heart of Acadiana in between New Iberia and Abbeville in May of 2011. And I at the Jefferson Mansion there, I asked Mr. Jefferson, who was there, I asked him if he was there, and the spirit told me the same thing as the EVP we just played. And here's my EVP. It says, "Don't you mess with me."
Is Mr. Jefferson here?
Yeah, I'm gonna play that one.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that was creepy when I first heard it, because I just started doing this, and when I heard that, it's like, don't you mess with me. It's like, ooh.
Is Mr. Jefferson here?
Wow.
Do you receive a lot? Do you receive a lot of messages from spirits when you go investigate at a location to get out or not to mess with them?
Yes. When I go to a location and it seems, well, I've been to like Eastern State Penitentiary a lot. Fort Mifflin. A lot of the places where spirits actually could get stuck there. We would say on our end that they're like stuck in a location. They're the ones that want us to leave. It seems like the ones that come and go, if you're doing a session at your house and you ask for someone, they come through or whatever, you can have a nice conversation with them and it's fine. But I think that when you go into a location where they're actually like stuck there, it's almost like walking down the street and just walking into somebody's house and start talking to them. And they're like, whoa, what's going on? Why are you here? You know what I mean? They kind of get aggravated, like, why are you in my house? And that's how I feel about, people that are stuck in a location. When you go in there and you try to do communication, they're like, why are you here? Why are you walking into my house? Like they still think that they live there. Right.
They've never let go that earthbound feeling of that's theirs.
Right, exactly.
Now, you met a fellow avid ghost box fan like yourself on one of Frank's websites, a fellow by the name of Joe Chiappi. Could you tell us a little bit about your relationship with Joe and what devices were created through this friendship?
Yeah, well, I met Joe in early 2007. Late 2006, I started working with EVP and really gathering that information. 2007, early, and my sister had mentioned that there's a Frank's box, and I said, what the hell is that? I don't know what a Frank's box is. And she said, well, it's apparently a radio that, you could talk to the dead with. So I said, okay. So I started doing research with that, realized it was a sweeping radio where they capture audio bits and talk to you. Now, when I heard of that, I said, oh my God, this is like a really great breakthrough. This is good. This could work. So I looked up there thinking I was just going to go on the internet and say like, okay, yeah, ghost box. Oh yeah, there's one right there. Let me buy it and I'll test it out. Yeah, it wasn't like that. Back in early 2007, there was no ghost boxes. There wasn't. There was a Frank's box that he gave away to researchers, and that's it. So you either had a Frank's box, which at the time in 2007 he only had like maybe a dozen that he had made since 2004. So, he only had a certain amount, and he was giving them out to people, and the chances of me or anybody else getting one, probably not going to happen. So I realized at that time I need to get a different avenue. So I started looking for engineers to build a box similar to a Frank's box. I ran across Joe on one of these websites, and he says, "Yeah, I could definitely build that." He goes, "But I'm gonna do it. Frank's been doing it with AM, and he goes, I want to do mine with FM, and I'm gonna pick only. It's gonna jump from strong station to strong station, so you're not gonna get any clutter. You're just gonna get only good communication, like strong, loud communication." And I said, "Oh my God, that sounds great. Put me on board with that." Now, Joe was a retired guy. He was a retired engineer it was like a hobby for him. So he says, well, listen, here, you buy the parts for me, and I'll build it. So I said, okay, that's great. Let's do that. So I sent him, I went on Radio Shack website, and I sent all the parts to his house. And he says, he gets it in the mail. He says, I'm excited. I'm starting on this thing right now. This is going to be great. I know exactly what's going on, what you want to do. Well, I heard it, and I said, yeah. He only lived one state away, so I went to his house, and it was like an hour and 10 minutes to drive to his house. So I did that, and we went there, and I heard it, and I said, yeah, that's not it. It's not what I want. We need to go back to the drawing board, and we need to fine tune this thing. I mean, because you're in the right direction, but we need to make it, because I had my theory in my own mind. I knew what I wanted to hear. So he knew from an engineer's point of view, he knew what parts he needed to make it work. I had the idea in what I wanted to hear to make the communication possible. So together, we banged this out. It took us months, but we finally got a box, and I listened to it, and I go, yeah, we're there. I heard messages. I started getting messages. I started emailing him. I'm like, oh, I can't believe what I'm getting here. You know, this is incredible. And Frank contacted me. He says, nobody has ever built a ghost box besides me. He goes, you guys are doing it on your own. You want to try out one of mine? And I said, all right. All right. So he says, okay, I'll send it to you. Give me your address. So that's how I got talking to Frank, because he saw that I originally thought that I was never going to get a Frank's box, so I just wanted to go down my own road and do what I feel I needed to do, because I didn't think I would ever get a Frank's box. So he saw that, you know, that we came out with stuff, and I started posting files and what I was working on, and he was impressed with it. He said, that's really good. He goes, that's really, really good. And he goes, nobody has ever done this besides me. You know, like I said, he said, I want you to test out one of my boxes. I said, that's fine. So he sent it to me, and it didn't really work all that well. Because I guess my ear was acclimated to working with the Joe's box maybe at the time. So it just, I mean, Frank's box had a lot more static. It was AM, there was a lot of problems there. The audio was really low. He had an echo box that he made in there, and you couldn't even turn the volume up past like 1. So like you had to put like your ear right to the box, like or else you didn't hear anything at all. It was awful. I ended up buying. You remember the TV commercials where they had to listen up, where you would actually point it at something and it would amplify it? I actually bought one of them just so I could hear what was going on. I did. I put the headphones on. I bought the listen up device. I pointed it at the Frank's box just so I could amplify it, so I could hear if something was going on. So it really wasn't like the perfect project. But we've all evolved from there, you know. And then I started building my own, you know. And you know, I know.
Go ahead and I wanted to play one. I wanted to play one of the EVPs off of your site that comes from Joe's Box number 2. And this is where you ask the spirit to give you the last name of a guy named Ed. Spirit comes back and tells you that she blamed him. And when you ask what she's blaming him for, Spirit tells you the rape. Is there anything you want to add to that?
That file came from an investigation I did when I first started working in the Joe's Box. It was new at the time, and I went to do an investigation with a friend I went to school with. And I went to her house, and it seemed like that exactly what the file says. That's exactly what happened. You know, this spirit entity that was in the house, his name was Ed. He was a real nasty guy, and he apparently raped somebody, and he was just a really, really nasty person, and that's what came out through the recording. And that was back in 2007. So that was 7 years ago. I mean, it's a long time ago, but the information was relevant to what was going on in her house and what she was experiencing.
Oh, my goodness. Well, here we go. We're going to play the rape for the audience here.
Okay.
Who is Ed? Can you give me a last name? Blamed him for what?
Yeah, let me play that again.
Who is Ed? Can you give me a last name? Blamed him for what?
Oh, that was clear. Let's do it one more time so the audience can get it, because it's so fast. You speak so fast.
Who is Ed? Can you give me a last name? Blamed him for what?
Amazing. Now, you wrote that Joe's boxes produced data such that when you captured it and you played it back, you noticed that you missed a lot of information when you were originally listening to it in real time. Could you tell the listeners what you mean by that and how they should go about analyzing their captures from their spirit boxes?
Well, anything you use, now I preach, and I've always preached, fast sweep is the best sweep. It's the only sweep. It's the only way to do it. Please don't use a box that sweeps so slow that you can capture radio stations where DJs are talking, stuff like that. You can't. If you want to do this, you cannot do that. You have to use fast.
Right.
Now, I'm so used to it now, over the course of the many years I've been doing it, I can actually capture the fast sweep, and I know exactly what they're saying. I know I can pick it up. I hear it. I know exactly what's going on. Now, not everybody can do that because they don't all have the time in that I do. But still do that. Work with a fast sweep and say, well, I don't know if I heard that or whatever. But you'll put it in your audio editor. When you play it back in your audio editor and you listen to it, you're going to be like, oh, my God, it's there. I can't believe it. Yeah, it's there. I mean, you just slow it down a little bit. And I'm really big into reverse EVP. Reverse EVP is the key. That's the key. I think that what I'm working on now, and I know your time is probably, what do you got, like 15 minutes left on the show?
Yeah, we're good.
So we're gonna have to blast through this, but I'm working on Echo right now, and the Echo is the only thing I could. My ultimate goal is to get live reverse EVP. What I mean by that is, I want to hear only, like I want to capture whatever's coming through on the Ghost Box. Okay, I don't want to hear it. I want to capture it. I want to get a computer program, something that's going to capture that, and it's going to automatically reverse what's coming through, and I'm only going to hear the reverse aspect of it. Because you want to know why? Reverse EVP is huge for me. That is it's been my platform for years. Because if you play a file, say you're doing a Ghostbox session and you record it and you get like 10 files in 5 minutes. Okay, you get 10 good files in 5 minutes. Okay, take that 5-minute file and put it in your audio editor and reverse the entire thing. You'll probably get 20 messages in reverse. It's unbelievable the amount of messages that you get in reverse. And when you get the messages in reverse, there is no way possible that could possibly be contaminated. Because how could you possibly contaminate a reverse of what the forward was? How can you do that? There's no way you could possibly do that. So it has to be real.
I agree with you, Steve, and I want to tell you that I do a lot of reverse speech also when I can process my files. And what I do is when I do that, the messages that I receive in forward speech, when I reverse it, not only do I get intelligent speech in the reverse speech, but usually my reverse speech is related to the forward speech. And I take them and put them together.
I have files on that on my website. I have files where I actually ask a question, and when I ask a question, I get the answer. I reverse the answer, and it actually, the file, they continue the message.
Yeah, right.
Like, I'll say, are you listening? And I'll hear okay. I'll reverse okay, and it says, thanks, Steve. Like, okay, thanks, Steve. Like, that's the full message, forward and reverse. So it's actually impossible for that to actually happen. So that's why I'm obsessed with reverse EVP.
I want the audience to know that. I want the audience to know that. Go ahead, and if you capture something in forward speech and go into an audio program, and you say that same thing in forward speech and reverse it, that it will sound nothing like what the Spirit has said in reverse speech. Nothing. And our voice in reverse speech is gibberish, but if somehow Spirit can manipulate the frequencies in order to produce reverse intelligent speech.
Right. So since 2010, when I first started building my own boxes, I learned how to build my own boxes, and I've evolved since then, trying different things, and I want to make the best box possible. I really do. But while I'm doing it, like I make them, get rid of them, because I what am I going to do? Pile them in the corner here? I mean, I made 100 of them already. So every one of them is different. Every one of them is different with a different idea that I had in my head at that time. Now, I'm working with the Echo chamber now. Now, with the Echo, adding the Echo chip to the Ghost Box is huge, because when you take the Ghost Box communication, I can have a fast sweep, which I like. I'm going to have the fast sweep, and I'm going to hit it with like delay and echo, and it's almost like it's slowing it down to like really, really slow, like where we can hear it, but clearly hear it. So that's been working really well. I've been getting so many messages. I'm like, oh my God, I'm slowing it down because I'm hitting delay and I'm slowing it down. So that's the closest I've come to reverse EVP so far, because I'm able to slow it down enough where I could actually hear them clearly. Now, I'm starting to work with programming now, programming a Ghost Box. I'm building a new box where it's computer operated. Now, sky's the limit. Once I get into the computer, and I've worked with computers for years, so it's hopefully going to become second nature to me when I sit down and start working on it, and I'll be able to make this Ghost Box do anything I want it to do. I can make it reverse, I can make it echo, I can do anything. I'm hopefully going to get to the next level with this. Now, I just got it in the mail. I'm using the Arduino, which is a programming board that I can use with the radio to program it to do whatever I want. And once I get that and I start to fine-tune that, it's going to be so much easier than actually sitting at a bench and soldering stuff, because that takes a lot of time. And stuff flows out, and you have to keep replacing parts. Stuff happens, but with a computer-based program, you can actually tell it what to do. I could probably achieve what takes me 3 hours on the bench. I could probably do that in like a minute on the computer, by programming it.
Right.
So
wow.
I think that's the next step. I think
will you be able,
I still have a lot of ideas left in me.
When you operate it, will you be able to create a file that will be downloadable to, or is it just captured as a file in the computer program that you're using? Or how will that work?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you can do any of that stuff. You could hook it up to the computer.
Wow.
You could download it directly to the computer. You could listen to it live. I'm going to make a standalone unit. It's going to be both. You could either hook it up to the computer, or you can have a battery operated unit on its own. It'll be the same.
That's
right.
Great, because the reason I asked you that, Steve, is because I just started using the Echo Box about 2-3 months ago, and what I love about it is that you can, after you capture a file, you can actually email it to yourself, from a tablet, and download it to an audio program and process it that way. And what I found, Steve, is that when I have a camera that's videotaping the session, I miss so much, and I capture so much at the baseline of the file when I bring it into an audio program. It just fascinates me, everything you can capture with this echo effect.
Yeah, there's definitely something to it. I don't know what it is. The echo effect has some sort of effect. It definitely does. I think that they move much faster than we do. You ever see the people on the TV shows or whatever, and they get the shadow person that just zips across the screen? I just think they move faster than we do. So if we can capture what they're doing and slow it down, or reverse it, I think that we're going to be in the game. We're going to be a part of it. Otherwise, we're not going to be a part of it. Because I think that we need to adapt to the way they are. They're trying to adapt to the way we are and giving us communication. They have given us communication. Little as it may be, here and there, hi, hello, I'm Sam, whatever the case, may be that they're working with on their side. They're trying. They're definitely trying to work with us. And I think we need to try a little bit harder.
It's hard to slow down the speed of light.
Right. And that's a perfect point. That is a perfect point right there. Because that's what we need to do. We need to slow down what they're doing, because which is almost cruel if you think about it. It's cruel in a world that we live in that, we want to talk between worlds. One world is like supersonic fast, and our world is kind of like like kind of slow, and they're trying to, and we're trying to make it work between the two, and it's really not working. We get a little bit here, a little bit there that works, but there's a lot of work to be done. Either they need to slow down, or we need to speed up. I mean, that's it.
Right. Well, that's what computers are for. I mean, we can slow down the speech in our software, where if you build it in real time where it's going to do that automatically, that'll be fascinating.
Right. And I think we're heading there. I think we're getting in that direction. We'll get there.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to give up yet.
I know, and it's people like you that are going to do it, and so that people like me will be able to benefit from it and say, "Yay, yay, Steve!"
Well, that's the plan. That's the goal. I want to eventually get to the part where we, I know all the great, people out there. I've worked with Bill Chappell, who builds all the devices and stuff like that. I prototyped, I was a beta tester for all his prototype equipment, 8 years ago, or whatever it is. I'm friends with him. Frank, I'm friends with him. I work with his stuff. Joe, I worked with him. All these things. Now I'm doing my own thing, but I have everybody else that I've worked with over the years. Everything that we've worked on is in my head, and now I'm doing my own thing. So I have a lot of ideas. So it's not done yet. It's far from over. We'll get there eventually. Maybe not in my lifetime, but we're going to get close. We're definitely going to get close in my lifetime, for sure.
I'm sure you will. Yeah, you're doing some great work out there, and I know anybody that's out there that goes to the Facebook pages and the websites where they have where you post some of your stuff. It's just fascinating. It really is. You have a paranormal investigation group, Keyport Paranormal. Do y'all have anything planned in the future here?
You know what it is? I started with Keyport Paranormal, and that was the original platform of where I wanted to start. It's since disbanded over the years because I get really focused. I get really focused on what I'm doing.
Right.
Yeah, is Keyport Paranormal still alive? Yeah, it could be. Because if I wanted to do an investigation or somebody contacted me, I will assemble a team because I know a lot of people that I could assemble a team together to help whoever the client is. So it's not a dead paranormal team. It's just that I'm really focused on my own research and what I want to do, and it takes up a lot of my time because I work also. I work like 50, 60 hours a week on my regular job, so it becomes limited. So I don't have a whole lot of time to devote. And when you do an investigation, as you know, you go there with the audio and the video and the pictures and stuff like that. How long, if you do a one-night investigation, how long does it take you to go over the information? A couple weeks.
My goodness.